Every morning at 3 o'clock, while most of the world sleeps, 114 cooks wake up inside a kitchen with no windows, on a ship the size of a skyscraper, and begin producing food for a city. Not a catering service, not a stadium. A floating military city 500 miles from the nearest grocery store that will consume 17,300 meals before midnight. The kitchen that makes it happen measures roughly the same square footage as a suburban fast food restaurant. What happens inside it every single day should not be possible. The USS Harry S. Truman is 1,092 feet long, roughly 3 football fields placed end to end. It stands as tall as a 24-story building above the waterline. Its combat displacement reaches 97,000 tons. During full operational deployment, the ship carries up to 6,250 personnel, sailors, pilots, mechanics, intelligence officers, medical staff, and the air crews who keep 980 combat aircraft ready around the clock. That crew does not operate on any schedule a civilian would recognize. Flight operations run through the night. Engine spaces never go dark. Every person on board cycles through rotating 12-hour shifts 7 days a week, burning calories at a rate that would exhaust most trained athletes within days. The U.S. Navy's own regulations require the ship to deliver 2,850 calories per day to every male crew member and 2,100 to every female, no matter where in the world the ship is operating, no matter what the combat tempo demands, and no matter how violent the sea conditions become. That obligation does not pause. There are no sick days in the galley. There are no supply delays that become someone else's problem. The people on this ship eat on schedule every single day of the deployment, and the system built to make that happen is one of the most overlooked feats of operational engineering in the modern U.S. military. The numbers are where the scale first becomes impossible to dismiss. The USS Harry S. Truman, as a single ship, produces 17,300 meals every 24 hours. That is the documented daily output of 7 operating galleys running simultaneously, managed by 114 culinary specialists pulling 12 to 14-hour shifts in kitchens with no natural ventilation, no windows, and cooking equipment generating enough heat to raise the ambient temperature well above 100 degrees Fahrenheit during peak service. To reach that number, the galley burns through 1,600 pounds of chicken in a single day, 2,000 pounds of hamburger meat, 2,000 pounds of steak, 1,000 pounds of potatoes, 1,000 pounds of fresh vegetables, 350 pounds of lettuce, 1,000 gallons of milk, 500 gallons of ice cream, and 20,000 cups of coffee, because the crew of a nuclear-powered warship running 24-hour combat rotations operates on caffeine as much as it operates on jet fuel. Those 17,300 meals do not arrive at one time. They come in 4 separate waves: breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a 4th meal called midrats, short for midnight rations, served at midnight every night for the sailors pulling the overnight watch while the rest of the ship sleeps. Breakfast preparation aboard the Truman begins at 03:03 in the morning, so the line is ready before the first watch rotation comes off shift at dawn. By the time the first sailor picks up a tray, the kitchen has been running for 3 hours already. The daily grocery bill for that operation runs between $45,000 and $65,000 every single day the carrier is deployed at sea. That exceeds $1 million per month spent entirely on feeding people, not on weapons systems, not on aircraft fuel, not on electronics, on food. A single Nimitz-class carrier accounts for nearly 20% of every meal served across the entire U.S. Navy fleet in a given day. One ship producing 1/5 of all the food the world's most powerful naval force consumes. If you find this kind of hidden military engineering as gripping as any battle story, hitting like takes 2 seconds and helps more people find it. Deepening layer. The food does not arrive at a port. It never touches a pier during a deployment that can run 9 months without a break. Every pound of food that reaches an aircraft carrier at sea comes through a process called UNREP, underway replenishment, and it is one of the most technically demanding logistical operations the U.S. military conducts as a matter of routine. Every 7 to 10 days, a dedicated Navy supply ship closes in on the carrier while both vessels are underway at full operational speed. The two ships maneuver until they are running parallel, 150 feet apart in the open ocean, with no fixed reference points and live weather conditions that shift without warning. Deck crews fireline throwing guns between the ships to establish the first connection. Then, high-tension transfer rigs extend outward, steel cables connect at both ends, and a system of pulleys and cargo hooks begins moving pallets of food through the air from the supply ship to the carrier, while both ships hold speed, course, and formation simultaneously. 150 feet of open water separates them, with nothing below but ocean. The payload transferred in a single UNREP operation runs from 400,000 to 700,000 pounds of food. 700,000 pounds is roughly the weight of 60 fully loaded school buses worth of groceries, crossing between two moving ships on steel cables over the open ocean. A miscalculation in cable tension, a sudden swell, or a positioning error between the two ships can snap a line, destroy a pallet of cargo, or send a deckhand overboard. The people managing these transfers are active-duty sailors working under combat readiness conditions, not dock workers with a 9-to-5 clock-out time. When the UNREP window closes, it is closed. The carrier takes what it received and plans the next 10 days from that inventory alone. Beyond UNREP, the Navy runs a second resupply method called VERTREP, vertical replenishment, using helicopters to deliver lighter, time-sensitive cargo directly to the carrier's flight deck. Fresh produce has a short shelf life at sea. Helicopters get it on board faster than a cable transfer, keeping the meal cycle from collapsing into frozen goods and dry storage items weeks before the next supply ship arrives. Together, UNREP and VERTREP form the supply chain backbone for a kitchen that has no road leading to it and no option to run short. Technical Engineering Corps. The galley aboard a Nimitz-class carrier is not one kitchen. It is a distributed production network of 7 separate facilities positioned at different points throughout the ship's lower decks. The main mess deck handles the bulk of enlisted meal service and functions as the primary production floor. A forward galley runs speed food, burgers, sandwiches, hot dogs, for sailors whose watch schedule does not allow time to stand in a full meal line. The aft galley runs complete hot meals and doubles as the midnight ration station every night. Senior enlisted sailors eat in a dedicated chief's mess. Officers eat in a separate wardroom. Each of those 7 facilities operates independently with its own cooking line, storage allocation, and assigned staff. If the main galley loses power during high-tempo flight operations, the ship does not stop feeding 5,000 people. The redundancy is not a bonus. It is a design requirement built into the ship's architecture at the blueprint stage. Inside those galleys, the equipment operates at a scale with no equivalent in any civilian setting. Steam-jacketed kettles, double-walled cooking vessels that circulate pressurized steam between the inner and outer walls to heat the contents from every direction at once, hold 60 gallons of soup, or stew per unit. A standard restaurant stockpot holds roughly 8 gallons. The carrier's kettle holds the equivalent of 7.5 of those stacked into a single vessel. A standard cooking pan in the galley holds 80 gallons of food. The griddles span entire walls and hold more than 100 pieces of meat at a single time. Convection ovens run dozens of full sheet pans at once, using forced air circulation to maintain even cooking temperatures across every rack simultaneously. The bread program runs off a stand mixer built to process 60 pounds of dough per batch, a machine large enough that a full-grown person can stand comfortably inside the mixing bowl. The deep fryers operate at the volume of a residential hot tub, because a residential hot tub is the closest available comparison in size. Every piece of that equipment is bolted directly to the deck, not strapped, not weighted. Bolted with structural fasteners. Because in heavy seas, a steam kettle holding 60 gallons of boiling liquid that breaks free of its mount is not a cooking incident. It is a life-threatening event. Non-slip matting covers every galley floor surface. Handholds line every wall at working height. And the cooks work through it, through North Atlantic swells, through flight operations that vibrate the deck plates beneath their feet, through 9-month deployments spent entirely below the waterline in a kitchen with no daylight. The system that ties all of it together runs on a principle the Navy borrowed from industrial manufacturing: batch production. Proteins cook in timed batches sequenced to the staggered meal shifts. Starches run in a parallel track. Sauces hold in the steam kettles at temperature. Different teams build different components of the same meal simultaneously, converging on the serving line the moment the watch rotation arrives, exactly as an assembly line converges components into a finished product at a scheduled moment on a factory floor. The galley does not cook like a restaurant, it runs like a production facility. Because that is exactly what it is. The people running those galleys carry a formal U.S. Navy rating, Culinary Specialist, that requires 15 weeks of dedicated training at the Navy's Culinary School at Fort Lee, Virginia, before a sailor ever touches a carrier galley. The curriculum covers industrial food safety, bulk production timing, equipment repair under field conditions, and cooking in environments most civilian chefs would walk off the job to avoid. Culinary Specialist 3rd Class Alan Jackson served aboard the USS Harry S. Truman during a deployment to the Arabian Sea, grilling chicken for thousands of sailors while the ship ran combat support operations for the U.S. Fifth Fleet. In a documented interview from on board the ship, Jackson described the Truman simply and directly. He called it a floating city, where every person, from the pilots to the barbers to the cooks, shows up every single day and performs at the highest level they know how. The galley has never been an exception to that standard. Not once in 50 years of carrier operations has it become one. Consequence and payoff. The payoff for all of this engineering is not only full stomachs. The U.S. Navy has tracked crew morale data across decades of carrier deployments. And the research points to the same conclusion every time. Food quality ranks among the top 3 predictors of sustained combat effectiveness on extended deployments, alongside letters from home and sleep quality. The Navy absorbed that finding into the design of the carrier meal program at every level, and the menu reflects it in ways that most people outside the service have never heard of. The meal cycle resets entirely every 14 to 21 days, so no dish repeats on a schedule the crew would notice. On Thanksgiving, the galley produces a full traditional spread: roasted turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce, rolls fresh from that 60-pound batch mixer for thousands of sailors who are not home, will not be home, and have no way to get there. On Christmas, the same operation repeats. On a sailor's birthday, the galley bakes a custom cake. During active combat deployments in the Persian Gulf, Nimitz-class carriers have served prime rib and lobster in the enlisted mess. This is not generosity for its own sake. This is a calculated performance variable, managed the same way fuel loads and maintenance schedules are managed, because the data supports it. A sailor who feels genuinely cared for maintains sharper focus, makes better decisions under pressure, and holds together longer on a deployment that would otherwise erode unit effectiveness from the inside out. The food is not a perk. It is a force multiplier. And the Navy has understood that since at least the 1950s, long before the term force multiplier entered common military vocabulary. What the historical record shows is that the modern carrier galley was not designed by chefs. It was designed by naval logistics engineers who mapped industrial manufacturing principles directly onto mass food service, batch sequencing, parallel production lines, redundant output systems, and staggered distribution windows. They built a machine that happens to produce food rather than a kitchen that tries to scale up to military demand. That design choice is the reason 5,000 people eat on schedule every single day, on a ship in the middle of the ocean with a resupply window that opens once every 10 days and never stays open long. 5,000 sailors, 17,300 meals, between $45,000 and $65,000 in groceries every single day. 700,000 pounds of food transferred through the air on steel cables over open ocean every 10 days by sailors who do it as a matter of operational routine. 114 specialists running 7 kitchens around the clock on a ship the size of a skyscraper in conditions that would shutter any restaurant in the country before the end of the first shift. The machinery behind that number is invisible to anyone who has never served below deck, but it is engineered with the same precision and the same consequence as everything else on a warship built to project power across the world's oceans. Historians spend decades studying the aircraft, the strike packages, the admirals, and the battle groups. Almost none of them study what happens 5 decks below the flight deck at 3 in the morning. But the argument is there to be made. The galley, not the weapons, is what actually keeps the most powerful naval force in history operational. The question worth leaving with is this: when future generations study what made the U.S. Navy dominant across the 20th and 21st centuries, will they ever give the kitchen its due? Drop your answer in the comments below. And if this kind of hidden operational history is what you want more of, subscribing takes 1 click and means you will not miss the next one.